What is up, everybody? Welcome to the N.E.R.D. Never Ending Ridiculous Discussions podcast. I'm your host, Alan, and with me is the creator of the N.E.R.D. podcast, is Dom. What's up, Dom?
How you doing, Alan? I'm doing good.
Hey, that's good, man. Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of a slow week for news related stuff. We kind of missed the PS5, um, the showcase a bit, but there were some cool things that were in there. One thing in
hmm
particular that we're going to talk about a bit more today. Also, so there are a couple of other just smaller news stories that were around in the past week or so that we'll talk about very briefly. But then one thing that we're going to talk about is remaking games, remakes of games, and that's kind of a foreshadowing of one of the announcements from the PS5 showcase. So, very quickly, just rattle off a couple of quick news related items. I know a couple. It's probably now close to about a month and a half ago or so, maybe 2 months ago. We talked about the whole Blizzard fiasco and all of the lawsuits happening from the State Department over in California around various things. And now a new lawsuit is being filed against Blizzard. This time from the Communications Workers of America, which is essentially the CWA. They're a group that is almost like a lobbyist firm, essentially, if you will, for
hmm
workers in television, gaming, and various communications outlets, industries. So they've been around for quite a few years, but they're like one of the largest of these kind of organizations out there, and they have filed a civil suit against, I believe, against Blizzard on behalf of the employees of Blizzard. And the reason is because they're accusing Blizzard of um, retaliatory and intimidation tactics and anti-labor tactics, or anti-labor union tactics, I should say, anti-unionization, and to try to get their employees to stop talking about and discussing the kind of what you would call sensitive employment information, that being things like pay and work conditions within the company. And they've been doing this, they said, since 2019. So this is, right around the beginning of the investigation into the workplace. So that's just it's kind of a meme, right? At this point.
Yeah, it's straight up. I know when we kind of talked about this prior to the show, this is just straight up damage control. It's them protecting themselves, and not to be like a corporate shrill or shill. Like you can't blame Activision Blizzard for being this way. It's them sitting back and say, okay, this situation is going to keep getting worse. Like, how do we minimize the damages as much as possible? So obviously, them doing the steps just makes sense. But kind of like you're saying, it being a meme, it this wouldn't have happened in the first place if Activision Blizzard was a better company with better
Yeah.
management and handled their employees with respect. Like, this wouldn't need to happen if it was just better in the first place. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It is an absolute joke. You just laugh at it. You shake your head, but at the same time, like you're not. I'm not surprised that this is a thing. That their lawyers are sitting there saying, like, if we get our employees to stop talking, this will go away faster. Because look, Call of Duty Vanguard's coming out, and we don't want
Yeah.
that to be affected by this, especially since uh, people seem to not be crazy about it being in World War II. I don't really know if that's really going to take away from its sales, but I assume that they're expecting this one to take a hit due to the lawsuit and maybe some other news that goes on. But yeah, no, you're right. This is just a meme. Just makes me roll my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like you couldn't have thought. So like the things that they were doing were basically like um effectively threatening employees with poor performance reviews when very clearly there were no poor performance reviews or poor performance by that employee. They were hard scrutinizing various personal social media outlets of social medias of their employees because those employees had said things, had said things about the work environment and pay at the company, and threatened various just like retaliatory action, right? Like you couldn't have thought that that was going to go well. Like in this day and age, I don't think that's ever going to go well for anybody. So it's just kind of it's just become kind of a silly meme. But yeah, so there's that. Moving on from there, a couple of other things that have happened kind of in the week. For anybody who is a fan, this is going to be a more up my alley specifically. Anybody who is a fan of gothic horror, anybody who is into the werewolves, vampires, zombies, kinds of like gothic. What's the word I'm thinking of? Eldritch horror type of stuff. The new Magic set has come out. Innistrad Midnight Hunt. It is a Magic set in the plane, all about werewolves and vampires and zombies and spirits and Harvest Moon Tide stuff. It's awesome. If there's ever any time I'm going to recommend anybody who to get into Magic, it's now. So that's just something that came out this week. Very well received by the community. Just kind of a thing that came out. Deathloop came out this week, which I've heard a lot of great things about Deathloop. I've not played it. I have not seen anything about it. But everybody scrolling through my Twitter feed, people are saying it is fantastic. So that may be something that we may have to do a deep dive on.
Oh, just to get a few things in there. I also have not played it. I have a PlayStation 5, but I also have an Xbox. So, in the end of the day, I'm kind of sitting here saying I'm gonna wait till it comes out on the Xbox Game Pass. Give it some time. But other than that, I can't wait for it. It's definitely been a game I've been really excited for. I actually played all of Arcane Studios' outputs within the last 5 months. I played Dishonored 1, 2, Death of an Outsider, and Prey all back to back, and they're all phenomenal games. And the fact that Deathloop just basically looks like Dishonored, but a little less stealth, a little more action, and it's got that awesome like 60s James Bond kind of vibe to it. I'm all about it, and I absolutely love rogue like games, so I can't wait to eventually play this game. Most likely next year. But yeah, we will definitely be talking about it when I finally get a chance to do it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try to get my hands on it as well to try to see if I can, because if you said it's a roguelike.
Yeah, it's very much a rogue. I don't think they're selling it as much as a rogue,
Like, okay,
as something like Returnal,
sure,
or Hades or something like that.
sure,
But it's by all means a roguelike. Like you die and you start over, and then you have to redo the assassinations kind of thing.
okay.
From what I've seen, but I don't know. It has a really cool style. It's definitely unique, and we're probably going to get a lot more of these kind of AAA roguelike games. I assume we've had two in the last year, so I'm assuming we're
Right.
gonna get a lot more of them. And I'm not sick of them yet, so
Yeah,
keep them coming.
I think that the when you can take a roguelike, like that genre, right? The roguelike genre that's
Hmm.
gained so much popularity over the last 5 to 10 years, and you get real big AAA developers behind it, there's gonna be some good ones that come out of it for sure.
Oh, oh yeah. And someday, just to say it before we move on, a dream of mine is Nintendo making like a Star Fox Rogue, just because it's already an
Ooh.
arcade game. Just all I'm saying. We can carry on, but
Yeah, definitely.
if
That'd be
someone
cool.
at Nintendo hears me, please consider it.
um, cool. Other things that have come out. Or so we've seen actually. I think over the past week we've seen, and I've touched on this a few times, and this is going to be something that again we're going to need to get our hands on to really understand the breadth and scope of how good it is. Is the Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl roster, we've gotten some gameplay trailers for the various characters. So we've actually gotten to see SpongeBob in his entire kit. We've gotten to see some footage of Nigel Thornberry and April from Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then, oh yeah, April and Neil. And then we've seen some footage or some screenshots, I should say, of the full like character select screen and the stages. And we knew that there was going to be Aang and Korra in there. The one that I saw had Toph in there as well too, which I'm kind of excited for. That could be super cool. But there's this game is just we saw Ren and Stimpy, and Cat Dog, some of their kits as well. Like there's just so much more information just getting pumped out about this game, and it's coming out soon. It's very very soon. I think it's like October that it's coming out, so it's not that far off from us getting our hands on it. But it's just like, I don't know, for me, kind of as somebody who played a lot of Smash, even somewhat semi-competitively, like this is just really cool. What are your thoughts on some of this memeage?
I mean, this is a game that kind of, I think I mentioned before, like this is either going to come out and be a lot of fun. I mean, I would be really shocked if it came out and this game is like just utter perfection. But like, I think this game is either going to be like a lot of fun and it's going to be really popular for a hot minute, or it's going to come out and it's going to be probably your traditional Nickelodeon style game where, aside from a handful of them, for the most part, they're kind of, most people like don't talk about them for that long. But that's kind of my thoughts on it. To me, I'm just a Smash like loyalist. I've played the other Smash copy games, like there's a couple indie ones that came out, Brawlhalla, stuff like that. And to me, it's like if I want to play Smash, I'm probably gonna play Smash. I'm also not a Nickelodeon guy. I actually didn't watch Nickelodeon as a kid. I was more of a Cartoon Network kind of guy. So I don't have a lot of affiliation with the characters. That being said, I mean, there's so many people who are excited about this. I hope it does come out and comes and is a lot of fun because I think it'd be good to have some competition, some really good competition in the Smash world, and just, another awesome game for everyone to play. And I'm pretty sure this game's coming out on everything as
Yeah,
well, right? The PlayStations, the Xboxes, yeah. So
Switch, PC, yeah, it's everything.
yeah, so that's also good since Smash is only on Switch. And again, aside from what Brawlhalla and Brawl Out, I think was another one that's very Smash like. There's really not that many out there, so that's awesome. If I hope it comes out and I hope you all like it.
So one other thing, kind of in relation, kind of like tangential to the All Stars Brawl. Apparently, a couple of days ago, THQ Nordic announced the new SpongeBob game.
Yeah. They did.
SpongeBob the Cosmic Shake. Now, here's the weird thing. Here's the interesting thing about this because, um, the one of the games that has been re-released throughout time, that has been uh, made by THQ Nordic, is the SpongeBob SquarePants: The Battle for Bikini Bottom. It's on Switch. It was on just like everything.
Yeah.
One of the things that's interesting, and unless they completely omitted a couple of characters entirely, this new game is going to have every original voice actor. Which in Battle for Bikini Bottom, there were a few characters that did not have their original voice actors because they were under contract that they could not use those voices in not in the show. So that's really
Mm.
interesting, and we're getting all like songs from the show, including Sweet Victory, which is kind of really cool. I This is something I like just caught my eye because this is something my wife absolutely is going to lose her mind over, because she loves those games. So that's just kind of interesting, caught my eye a little bit here. Okay, so I guess that's kind of the big highlight of the news for the week. Uh, so we kind of mentioned at the top of the show that we missed a little bit on the PS5 showcase. There were a lot of cool things that were talked about during the showcase. Some cool games that were announced, and one that was incredibly surprising to me was
Mhm.
the announcement of a Knights of the Old Republic remake. So, Knights of the Old Republic, for any of the newer generation who have not had the opportunity to play this phenomenal game, was a game back, I think it was like on the original Xbox. Star Wars game, kind of in the vein of uh why can't I think of Mass Effect? Sort of, it had kind of like the decision making trees, sort of. Um,
Yeah, it's very pre Mass Effect.
yeah, it's very pre Mass Effect, very much a precursor. But it was a really, really good game, like highly regarded as just like one of the greats of its era. One game of the year, I'm sure, probably. I'm pretty sure one game of the year. But
Mhm.
it's getting a full remake, not a remaster, a full remake. And the only thing that we know about it right now is that we just saw the announcement trailer. I believe it was had I can't even remember the name of the Sith Lord.
Uh,
No,
oh
was it
God, Ren.
Sidious or no? Who am I?
I
KOTOR.
know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
I can't even remember because Knights of the Old Republic is set like isn't it like set kind of it's pre like way pre the movies, I believe.
Yeah, it's thousands of years before anything in like the movies have portrayed. So basically, it's you don't they pretty much have a lot of freedom. They can almost do whatever they want since like none of the characters from the movies are alive. Like I think this is obviously
Yeah.
well before Yoda or anything like
Yes.
that. And he's what, the oldest character? Yeah, um so yeah, they have a lot of room here. Like aside from completely screwing up where the story ends,
Right.
or like screwing up like the universe, like for the most part they can do whatever they want. So it's definitely a yeah, so the original game, definitely had a lot of freedom, and this one, my assumption is that they're going to stick to the story, depending on exactly how they remake it.
Right. And so that kind of is actually leading into, I guess we can segue to how would you want to see them remake this game? What kind of cues would you want them to take from the original? Or what how would you want things to be completely redone in a new way?
Well, let's see. So the story, the studio that's making this, I believe, is Aspire. Is Aspire Media is the one who's remaking it, and I know prior to that they've had some experience remaking or remastering some Wars games, specifically the Commando one. That was came out on the Switch and the PlayStation, and those ran okay. I'm not gonna lie, at least the Switch one was kind of iffy. So as far as like my faith in this project, I don't really know. I'm gonna sit back, but I think for me personally, I love BioWare and I do love the original Mass Effect trilogy. I did finish the Legendary Edition playing through all three of them. Um, again, for like I don't know, the fourth, fifth time in my life. And of course I made the exact same decisions. So like that being said, like, do I want this game to veer off a lot? Probably not. I do like what BioWare had originally did. So I would like them to kind of stick a little to it. I think for me personally though, and I think this is the kind of contention point, I would prefer a less turn-based system and a little bit more of a live system. Um, I don't know exactly how far I'd want to go to that. I don't know if we want to go full on action title because technically we already have a Star Wars game that is, you are a Jedi in full on action, back and forth lightsaber duels and stuff with the Jedi Fallen Order series, which is already confirmed to get another game. So we already have that. But I think the entire turn-based style, I don't know how well that would do in today's audience, which is something I want to consider. Like, You look at Final Fantasy VII Remake, and they completely changed the battle system in that one to be less turn, to be like somewhat turn, but for the most part, it was pretty live hack and slash. And in my opinion, if they could somehow get something like that, to the point where it's still strategic and turn based, but it's not hack and slash like Jedi Fallen Order, I think it could be an awesome happy medium for the more modern young players who are playing this for the first time ever. And then for those of us who played the original Xbox version, maybe when we were, I don't know, in grade school when that came
It was
out,
2004.
2004. So, oh God, we must have been like fourth, fifth grade, like so we were pretty young. Um, but yeah, I that's how I would personally remake it. Other than that, I'm okay with them sticking to exactly how it is. Like the story itself, I thought was pretty well done. And if you never don't know what the story is, I think there's a pretty. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's one of the better Star Wars stories. Um, so in my personal opinion, I'm okay with them just modifying it a little bit. I don't think they need to modify it too much.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think give it the combat system is something that I personally I would like to see kind of more of a it needs to be more fluid because from what I remember of playing KOTOR, it was slow, it was clunky, it was turn based kind of,
Yeah.
and that was fine back then, but in an era of FF7 R and Kingdom Hearts 3, even though that's been out for a little while, like all of these more kind of action packed games, there needs to be a fluidity to combat, especially like when you if you take a look and model combat off of our depiction in the movies, right? The fast paced fluidity of going between force play and saber play and gun play. You have this, this kind of three realms of dynamics here that need to work seamlessly and fluidly, in some way. And if they did take cues from FF7R, with kind of like the main character, or like you can shift between characters, but you can also order characters to do other things kind of in that like turn-based strategy, like that felt really good. So I would say I'd like to see that. Obviously they're going to overhaul the engine and graphics, like they're working with new technology, so that's going to look great. Yes, I would like to see them stick to the original, um pretty closely, right? Like this should if they have the same mindset of FF7R, that they will with this game. This should be a love letter to the people who grew up playing KOTOR, but also
Hmm.
like a really nice introduction to this story because, like you said, this story is definitely, yes, one of the better Star Wars stories that's out there. It's very deep. There's a lot to it, and so this should just be a love letter, a return home for OG KOTOR fans, but new fans can get into it, and find a lot of enjoyment in it. So yeah, that's what I want to see. But that kind of also then turns into the next question, and the next kind of like general discussion topic that we wanted to talk about today was, if you could remake one game, if you could have a company, any company, any studio, take an IP that you love and remake it, kind of like how there's a stark difference between OG Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VII Remake. What studio, what game, and then how would you have it done?
Oh, I mean, when it comes to a complete stark difference, I'd have to probably sit a little bit longer. I think the game that I want remade more than anything, um, and it's already been remade from the ground up, but I want it to be remade again from the ground up, uh, would be Ocarina of Time. I think that game is one of the very few games that, in my opinion, is perfect. Um, and even the 3DS version, I think had improved on a couple things that was just limited by the N64 or the controller. So they kind of made it even better with the touchscreen and the water dungeon. They improved some things, but other than that, like I think that game is already perfect. Personally, I would love to see them remake it again but it not have it be that blocky, boxed in texture map that everything is like with the game. I don't think they have to go completely crazy and Resident Evil 2 remake it where they completely change everything. Like I don't think we need to do that per se. Um, but I would love to see that game running at 60 frames per second, 1080, like Skyward Sword, and just relive that adventure with beautiful textures, that a beautiful art design. I think the Ocarina of Time art design could look really good if you round it all out a little bit, and make it, little bit, change the color tone a little bit for a less of a warm thing and probably more of a little bit of a cool color tone. I think it'll look really cool. That's a game that I think would just look great. And I think it's kind of been lost in time. Not a lot of people talk about it as much. I feel like when people talk about Zelda, it's always Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess. You get some Wind Waker and Majora's Last Mask Love, but like Ocarina, like seems to just faded away. And it's one of the greatest video games of all time. It's not just me, but it's one of the highest rated games. It won Game of the Year from multiple publications when it came out in 1998. And in my opinion, it's again one of the few games that has held up perfectly. And I think that game needs a proper remake, just kind of reintroducing you to the adventure that really solidified that series as being like as popular and huge as it is. That would definitely be my choice.
Yeah, and I actually, even to go one step further, I would honestly like to see many of Nintendo's IPs turned up, like go past, develop with like past the Switch. I want to see, I want to be able to take Ocarina of Time, put it on my PC, and run it in 1440p, 144 hertz. I want it to look absolutely gorgeous. I want it to be full, just like overhaul it to the max. I want to see what these IPs would look like when we're not limited to the generation, the generation old hardware that Nintendo decides that they want to put in their new consoles. I want to see what these IPs look like. Particularly, like, even for me, for example, my choice probably would be Pokemon. Take the OG Pokemon, red, blue, yellow, get rid of the isometric, the top down perspective, overhaul the 3D, make it a lot more realistic, almost in a sense. I think what they're going for with Arceus, do that for the original games, remake those in that kind of style, and make it a bit more open world, less almost less puzzle like, if you will, like less Zelda-esque like perspective. No turn-based combat. I want like full real-time combat, and catching. That's what I want. I want it to mimic the shows. I have high expectations, but I think that if somebody were to take those IPs and really push them beyond what Nintendo is willing to push them on, we could see some incredible remakes come out from those IPs. Even like take Mario 64 for example, right? Like it's been remade on, it was made on the N64, remade on the DS, right? On 3DS. And
yes, that's the one and only technical remake it's
right.
had.
It's been re-released on Switch, or yeah, on Switch in the Mario All Stars 3D All Stars pack, or title, but never properly remade. Imagine taking even Mario Odyssey levels of graphics and mechanics and control schemes, turn that into, take that and apply that to Mario 64. Now you have something that's really even better than it was originally. And yeah, like those would be some pretty big ones. Thinking about other games that in the past, like that I would want to maybe see remade, there's very little to do with, I mean, I guess like I guess Final Fantasy 10 or Final Fantasy 9 or Final Fantasy 8, 10 2, like any of these turn-based games that have not really aged as well as, say maybe Final Fantasy VII, pop culturally. Take those, reintroduce those in a similar light. I mean, in that could bring a whole new audience back. I think that with what they did with 15, right, and 7R is phenomenal, and they need to do that with the other ones. I would love to see those. You can't really remake Sonic. I mean, you can't really remake Sonic. I mean, Sonic's been rehashed over and over and over again. Um,
Oh, yeah, that's a conversation to have a full episode on is how, because I've actually thought about, I'm not really a Sonic fan, but I've always, I sometimes like to think about like how I would want a certain game to be in a franchise. And I think we'd have to dedicate an episode to how to think we could make a Sonic game that could really just do it for the franchise. Because I don't think there really has been one
the
since
closest
Adventure
is
2.
Adventure 2. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And that was back on the GameCube or this the Dreamcast, then the GameCube.
yeah. Star Fox, actually.
Don't get me don't get me started on Star Fox.
Like, come on. Like, Star Fox is the other, like, quintessential 90s kids, kid N64 Super Nintendo title. And
Yeah.
it like, let's bring that back. What happened to that? Like, the last Star Fox game was what, on uh the GameCube, baby? Or the
The
Wii?
Wii U. The Wii U.
Let's
There was
let's reimagine Star Fox in 2021 with modern engines, modern graphics. Let's give it some texture. Let's make it a real thing. Like, I'm
they
I'm
tried
in.
that.
I'm in. Let's do it right. Like, I'm in. I want to be able
Yeah.
to play it on my
I
PC. That's really what I want.
I mean that's not gonna happen.
I mean, yeah, sure. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, let's be honest. We need to have Nintendo needs to step up their game with their hardware, and we can maybe realize these dreams. But
Oh, I agree. I mean, you've said so much that we need to unpack here. A couple weeks, like for instance, just on the Switch alone, I actually am getting an OLED. I was able to secure one,
oh,
so
nice.
I should be able to have. Yeah, I should be able to have one. So when we do this episode, whatever after the OLED comes out, I'll give my thoughts on it. Obviously, I'll have Metroid Dread the same day, so can't wait to dive into that. But the Switch and Switch Pro aside. Star Fox, that's such a. I'm so happy you brought this up because I've been thinking a lot about Star Fox lately. I don't know why, but I just have. Because that's like a franchise. They've remade the original Super Nintendo Star Fox 3 times because the Star Fox 64 was technically like a reimagining of the first one. And then Star Fox 64 got remade again on the 3DS. And then Star Fox Zero, which is on the Wii U, is technically a reboot and reimagining again of the original Star Fox. Like they've remade it 3 different times. And every single time, like the only really good one was for the N64 and the 3DS one, which was fantastic because
Yeah,
it was pretty much a beat for beat remake, like the Ocarina of Time, um, and Majora's Mask. So like I agree with you. I want Star Fox to come back. Personally, though, I want them to, and this is like a separate conversation of like a dream thing. I want them to give Star Fox to BioWare personally. And like I mean this, and like it's not just because I'm replaying Mass Effect, but it's more because I think Star Fox has this ability to be um really cool if they kind of give it to a team that's gonna make like an action Star Wars kind of thing out of it, you know? Like it doesn't have to be, super dramatic. We don't need the space drama, but I think to sit down and really make it a spectacle, keep the arcade rail shooting thing, but really emphasize the characters and the story a little bit more and just kind of make it like an action movie. And this is
yeah,
why I really wanted BioWare specifically, and it's not just because they're great at making action games. Mass Effect, and for that matter, Anthem, was fun to play. It's because of their story writing ability and their ability to tree branch, which Star Fox is all about that. Like, I would love it if they made a Star Fox game that, give it a little bit of length, but you made certain decisions that led you to certain missions, that led you to meeting different characters. And maybe in this timeline you fight Andros, in this timeline you fight Star Wolf, like
Right.
I think it would be such a cool experience, because you're right, like a modern 2021 Star Fox could be really cool, but I just want them to give it to a team that's going to take
God,
advantage of the thing that really makes Star
could
Fox cool.
could you imagine a 50-hour Star Fox game?
Oh no. I can
Like
imagine playing
I
it 50 hours, but like, oh
like
my god.
I can like because the longest at least Star Fox 64 was like maybe 40 minutes if you were good, like if you sped run it.
Yeah, you could
Like it was
probably.
fast.
Yeah, I mean, the games are made to be replayed. Like, I'm
Yeah,
okay with them hammering in on that.
sure, giving it
But
replayability is never bad, but like I would imagine just like you're like there could be so much to explore there that yeah,
yeah,
could be cool. Or in a uh another option, and one that we were talking about before the show, your idea was turning it into like a roguelike kind of thing where there is
yes,
replayability, where it's still a short game, but there's the iterations are short, but you can go over and over and over and over again and find something new. And I think that there's so little in this franchise already. There's so little about it. There's not that much lore. There's so much room to
yeah,
expound upon it that could be the route to bring Star Fox into the modern era, which I love. I think sounds
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, exactly. Like, I could just imagine it being like Dead Cells, Like, the first mission is the criteria, and you know how Dead Cells there's multiple doors that lead to different
Yeah,
directions? There you go.
there's your Star
You
Fox.
know, Start mission, go a different direction. And it could take, like, because you could beat Dead Cells in 50 minutes. It's kind
Right.
of the same thing if you know where to go and you're good enough. Kind of same with Hades, except Hades has kind of a one direction. Like, you can't really
Yeah.
veer off the path. That's like the one negative thing about Hades, honestly. Other than that, it's a perfect game. Um, and like, yeah, I think Star Fox could really take advantage if they just sat down and like look at it like from a rogue perspective and just went hard on characters, cinematic, and story. Actually, it changed my mind. Maybe don't give it to BioWare. Give it to the people who made Hades. And,
Yeah.
give it
Yeah.
to as a Supergiant Games. I think who made Hades.
Uh,
Um,
who made Hades? I have Hades.
yeah,
I should
I think
reinstall
it's
Hades. I need to play it more.
everyone. If anyone's listening to this and hasn't played Hades, you need to. It's out on everything now. I
Yeah.
think it's on PlayStation, Xbox,
Yeah,
and
Super
Switch
Giant.
and PC.
Super Giant.
Yeah, Supergiant.
It's
I
probably
would
on
give it a
sale.
Supergiant.
Truthfully, it's probably on sale on something. And honestly,
Yeah,
I'm an oddity with Hades. I play it on keyboard and mouse, but it's better played on controller. So go get it on the Switch. The game is like chef's kiss when it comes to
yeah.
action packed roguelike games. Like you don't get much better than this.
Oh yeah. And I think like if you want to get technical, it probably runs if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation, it probably does
Sure.
run better there. But there's something about this game playing it in bed that you just can't get, with those consoles.
Yeah, true.
So I know I have the Switch version. I've had it for about what? It's been out for over a year now. Um, Phenomenal game. But yeah, that would be my Star Fox pitch if I worked at Nintendo.
I could see it. I could see it. I'm all for it. This is a petition to Nintendo, official petition to
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo to bring back Star Fox, give it to Supergiant, let them license it out to them, let them turn it into an amazing roguelike experience, and give it to the masses. And the amount of roguelikes that have gained popularity over the past 5 years, the way that genre has exploded, it could be a really big success. I think it'd be
Yeah.
really cool.
And how many of them are space shooters?
True, very true.
Can't name them. That's my point.
Yeah.
Can't name them.
Um, and so speaking of roguelikes, and this is kind of just an open ended question to the audience, discussion thing. I would encourage anybody who is interested this may sound fun to look into at the very least. I'll name off a couple of resources. But in the spirit of roguelikes, where there's replayability and randomness interlaced throughout the entirety of the game, there have been it's been popular in their own individual circles, for the individual games where they have them. But as of recently, I think as recent as this past year's Games Done Quick, randomizers, maybe even a couple years before that, but randomizers have become more popular. Now, what do I mean by randomizers? So I'm going to use Pokemon as an example because it's a very easy explanation. So in Pokemon, there are things called key items where, for example, any badge is a key item. The Pokedex is a key item. The Pokegear, if you're playing a newer version, is a key item. The Pokeflute, things like that. There are various key items in the game that you kind of have to get. They're story plot items. Those items are all shuffled about and then redistributed throughout the game, so that you could, when you're, for example, going and getting your Pokedex from Professor Oak at the beginning of the game, you might get a badge that lets you use Fly. Right, and that's what you get. You don't have a Pokedex until you happen to find it at some point down the road. So that's what one version of a randomizer can do. Pokemon,
Yeah.
your encounters are randomized, your moves are randomized, things like that. This has become, the randomizer communities have become a lot more popular. There's Ocarina of Time randomizers, I think, that have been ran on Games Done Quick. Metroid randomizers, Castlevania randomizers, Kingdom Hearts randomizer. Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix is one that I've recently kind of gotten into. And so this is kind of an open-ended question to the audience that, if you guys, and this is we're kind of throwing some ideas around for what else to do with the show. If you wanted to see a game randomized and played during the podcast, just for a little bit, try to go do a couple of, a few runs of randomizers throughout the podcast. What games would you want to see randomized? And I guess in the same vein, if you could play a game randomized, one of your favorite games randomized, where your stats are randomized or your items are randomized, what game would you want to have that be? For me, I think Kingdom Hearts and Pokemon are kind of two perfect entry level examples to the randomizer community, because they're kind of, I think, pretty cult classic, popular titles that many people will be familiar with. And so they can at least you guys can get an understanding of kind of what's happening with the randomizers. And I would say a couple of cool resources. I mentioned Games Done Quick. They do a show. They do shows in between, like on their Twitch channel, in between the major events. And the recent ones that they have are called the GDQ Hotfix. The First Step is one that a couple of guys from GDQ, J Hops and Kizaron, they race, or they do intro to speed running, but they've recently been doing Kingdom Hearts and Pokemon Crystal randomizer races, which is kind of cool. And they've been kind of showing you how to get into those things. So I would recommend check those out and see kind of what that whole world is like. It's a really, really cool thing. You'll find yourself, if you like those games, it'll kind of blow your mind open, because it does give that roguelike experience of, you get this replayability because your seed is going to be completely different every time. You're never going to find that, you're not going to get that badge the first time when you go to get your Pokedex from Oak. You might get the Fly TM instead. You might actually be able to fly right out of the gate. You might get the bike. You might get an old rod. It might be something completely useless. You don't know, but that's the fun of it. So definitely would recommend that. I don't know, Dom, is there something that you would love to see randomized and do a playthrough of?
For me, like watching it, I would say almost any of those games. Like I'd be interested to see. I know, like I mentioned, like I've seen the Completionist do, I think, a randomized as of Super Metroid, which I know is a game that he absolutely loves. So like, I'd be definitely interested to see like some of my favorite games, like Ocarina of Time randomized, like how, in my opinion, like that breaks the game. Like, how do you even play this game without the proper equipment? So I'd be interested in watching that. As far as like me playing it for something I'd love to do on the show, I would love to play randomized Mario. You know, any of them. Probably the 2D ones, just because it's probably going to be easier. Um, but I would love to play like Mario 1, 2, or probably 1, 3, or Super Mario World, with the items randomized, maybe the levels randomized. And I think that'd be kind of fun just because, you know, you're not going to get that nice escalation. It's just going to go anywhere, you know. That'd be something I would love to personally play just because I think it'd be a little fun.
Cool. Well, I got a link
Yeah.
for you then. I'll shoot it to you after the show. I got a video for you
All
to
right.
watch. But I think that kind of wraps up the general discussion topics. So I guess to close out the show, Dom, what have you been playing this past couple of weeks?
Okay, so the past couple weeks, I think I've mostly just been playing because I just finished the Mass Effect. Finally finished Mass Effect 3. Had a good old time. Oh, before that, Psychonauts 2. I don't know if I mentioned it. I did play it all the way through. Great game. Definitely, I can see why it's Game of the Year contender. Um, right now, I've got the itch to replay Spider-Man, so I'm doing the Spider-Man remastered on PS5. I never got the platinum trophy, so I'm trying to go back through it and see if I can get the platinum trophy. It doesn't seem like it's too hard to do. And then other than that, any spare time I've had, um, playing like for 10 minutes a day. Mario Golf. I know you talked about it before, how you really had a lot of fun with
Yeah.
it. And yeah, I wasn't as crazy about it, but for some reason, if I got like 10 minutes, I'm on a break or something, I play a couple holes of Mario Golf.
Yeah.
It's a great game. It's fun.
Yeah.
So,
I love
yeah.
that there's
What about
online.
you? What have you been? Oh yeah. What about you? What have you been playing?
So I have been playing. So I just got a PS5. So I have been.
Oh,
Yep. I
you can't just drop that at the end of the show.
um I just got a PS5. So my wife and I have been playing Ratchet and Clank.
Oh,
Um
so good.
yeah, I love Ratchet and Clank from back in the day. So yeah, this one's been fun. I just started my first playthrough of Kingdom Hearts 3 because like I said, I've been
Okay.
watching the randomizers for Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. I've been wanting to get back into playing it again, and I never like my wife bought me Kingdom Hearts 3 when it came out, and I played through. I think I played through the intro, literally up until where they splashed the Kingdom Hearts 3 logo on the screen. It's after Olympus, and that's it. I just stopped playing it, so I'm going back replaying. I'm gonna actually play through it now. I've been playing that. Been playing a ton of Magic, obviously because of the new set coming out. I played in some tournaments over the past couple of weeks. Um, that have been fun. And one thing I also been doing in between. Oh, I've been playing Call of Duty. Obviously, that doesn't change.
Yeah.
Um, I picked back up playing Binding of Isaac again. I took a
Oh,
short
all
break
right.
from I took a short break from playing it. Like in short, I mean like maybe a month or two. But I picked it back up again because I have a ritual that I do whenever I'm streaming a tournament. In between my rounds, I will load up a run of Binding of Isaac or One Step from Eden and play that just kind of to bring my nerves down and just kind of relax in between the rounds of Magic. So I picked that back up and played a couple runs over the weekend. So that's been I love that game. I love that game so much. It's so good. That another expertly done roguelike game. There's so much depth to it. If anybody's never played Binding of Isaac, would 100% recommend that one as well too. Probably also it's on everything. Probably on sale at somewhere. So definitely check that one out. And then the other game that I buddy of mine bought for me is Guilty Gear Strive, which is the new Guilty Gear
Ooh.
fighting game. I'm terrible at fighting games. I don't have the brain power to do fighting games. I don't have the time to put in the lab to get muscle memory to learn those games. But I'm trying. I'm giving it my all to try to learn Strive. Um, it's a cool game, really good soundtrack, really cool character design. So I'm giving it a shot. So that's what I'm on this. That's what I've been on these past couple of weeks. But
And shout out to Guilty Gear. I haven't played it, but I watched some gameplay trailers of it, and that game is kind of like how Dragon Ball Z fighters looked really cool. It looked just like the show. Like, didn't Guilty doesn't Guilty Gear have like that kind of the same vibe, right? It has that awesome anime look. It just looks so smooth.
yes, the so Guilty Gear Strive and Dragon Ball Fighters were made both by Arc System Works. So same developer.
Makes
Um,
sense.
yeah. Speaking of Dragon Ball, for anybody who's played Dragon Ball Fighters before, I would highly recommend going back and revisiting the game. The game is basically turned into Marvel vs. Capcom. They released a patch that basically just said, you know what, let's open the floodgates and turn this into an arcade game. So it's kind of crazy. Um,
I'm okay with that. I was awful at that game. I played that game when it first came out, and
oh,
for that's a game that I've been waiting for up, and maybe it already happened. Some of these patches have been coming out kind of quietly. I've been waiting for like the next gen update. I was kind of hoping I'd get like a PS5 version of that game. Because I want to go back to it. I had so much fun. I think I have like 3 new characters that I haven't even touched yet that I got downloaded. So I don't know if you know any news about that or if they're like updating it at
my
all. To
my guess is that they're not going to do a next gen update
Oh,
until because they're going to probably be doing Fighters 2 on next gen.
I, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
That's fine.
like
That's
the
that's fine.
and truthfully, for the sake of the community, because I think there's been some things that have come out from for the game that have just been a bit iffy in the community from a competitive standpoint. I don't think that they want to release a next gen version of Fighters One, especially because they kind of opened up the floodgates and just said screw it with balance and everything like that. It's just kind of crazy now. So Fighters Two probably on next gen would be my guess.
That's
Oh,
fine.
the other thing is
That is a
Destiny.
game. Oh, what about?
I was say Destiny's the other thing I've been doing.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I
more
mean, what
Destiny.
are we not playing Destiny? When are we not?
I might actually do trials. I might actually start doing trials next weekend.
Oh, all right. I've actually never done. Oh, that reminds me. Next weekend, I signed up for the Halo flight, the second one.
Okay.
I think I should be in it. So that's about it. I'm just excited
Get
about
get
that.
get get some
I
get some
haven't.
Halo time in.
Yes, I've been wanting Halo Infinite. I've been playing a lot of Splitgate. At least I was. I kind of put it down just because I'm ready for Halo. I cannot wait for Halo Infinite. I want it. It needs to happen. I want it to be December already.
Yeah, that'll be a very fun time for sure. I'm happy that it's free multiplayer, but it's also gonna have to contend for me. What's gonna have to contend with Battlefield and Warzone because
I think the fact that it's like free to play, I think really does
help.
make it better for it. Better chances.
True, but for the Vanguard Warzone update's not coming out immediately with the launch of Vanguard. It's gonna be a little bit later. So I think, or at least that's what from their announcement videos. That's what it sounds like. Is it's going to be shortly after the launch of Vanguard is going to be the Warzone update where they're going to implement the new engine, new map, new systems, new everything into Warzone. So that's going to probably come closer to the release of Battlefield of Halo, and so it'll be a
Yeah.
very very tight couple of weeks. But yeah, the free to play
Oh,
aspect is going to be
and
helpful.
and when is Call of Duty's release date? Because I know Battlefield just got delayed a month, and obviously Halo is not till December.
So Vanguard itself is releasing on the 5th, November 5th.
And what month is Battlefield delayed to? Is it the end of October?
No, wait,
Like
November
what's its
19th.
officially? November 19th. So oof, this is gonna be another one of those years.
Yeah, this is I hope so. Obviously, I don't expect this to be a Overwatch Titanfall um kind of fiasco where Titanfall 2 got completely eclipsed. I think it was by Overwatch.
No, it was actually by Battlefield 1.
Oh, okay, by Battlefield. I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to be this by any means. But Battlefield is releasing very, very, very close to what I would anticipate Warzone's update coming, and
Yeah.
nothing is pulling anybody back from Warzone, I don't think. Because even the
Probably.
people, even half of the people who quit Warzone to go play Apex are now back on Warzone. It's not, you can't get rid of it. You just can't outpace Warzone. It's gonna be so hard. I'm very curious to see how well Battlefield's going to do if the Warzone update is like within a few days of release.
Yeah, I think it really just depends if the game like obviously takes off. If the game is fun to play, I could see it being some trouble for Call of Duty Vanguard, specifically just Vanguard. Because you're right, Warzone is never gonna go down. But I could see Vanguard having trouble of it from 2042. But if 2042 comes out and people are like, you know, then Warzone's gonna do fine. Vanguard's probably gonna do fine. And then honestly, I think Halo, no matter what, if it's fun to play, it's probably going to have a dedicated fan base. Because it's going to have people like me who just love Halo no matter what and aren't going to buy Call of Duty or Battlefield. And I don't play the Battle Royale games. So, like, I'm in Halo. Like, Halo is my go to. And I think there is a large audience for that. But I'm interested to see, kind of like you're saying, by January, February, who's still playing Battlefield, who's still playing Vanguard, what are Warzone's numbers, and who's what's Halo. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be really cool to see come February, especially when the onslaught of new games also start coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's a question I have for you that just kind of came crept up in my head.
Hmm.
The so Call of Duty players have been trained to have a battle pass for the past since Modern Warfare, 2019
Okay.
Modern Warfare. They've been trained to have a battle pass that is for cosmetics and crap like that. Halo fans, on the other hand, have not. There is a mastery pass in Halo Infinite. Do you think that's going to impact sales, or do you think that's going to impact long-term playability for players, like for people coming into the game, or do you think that it's not going to really matter too much? People are going to play it no matter what because it's Halo.
I I think it's a little bit of the middle. I think battle passes, the fact that they've been around for so long, just goes to show that they work and they get an audience and people will purchase them. So as far as like, I don't think the battle passes will keep people playing Halo. I can't see there being a million people being like, yeah, there's no battle passes, I'm gonna drop off. Like I don't think. Uh, I definitely think the battle passes will have a potential to do well so long as Halo Infinite is fun to play. And if the first flight has anything to show about it, it clearly is fun to play. Um, so I think Halo. I think it's not necessarily Halo fans. I think the amount of people who are like me who grew up on the Xbox and Halo 2 and Halo 3. Um, I think we're gonna play it regardless of the battle passes. I think the newer generation, the younger kids who did grow up in Call of Duty and the more traditional kind of first-person shooter setup, are probably gonna feel right at home. And the fact that it is free to play, like I think it could, I think it could keep people around. Again, I don't purchase battle passes really, like even the Destiny stuff. I don't get the special edition. I get like the expansion for like the story and the stuff like that. And then for the most part, I just kind of play uh whatever the not the
Gambit.
multiplayer, not the like the Gambit. Thank you. I play Gambit just casually because I think it's fun. Like I don't really do any of the cosmetic stuff. So like there's plenty of people like me out there who aren't gonna buy into this, but Yeah, I think like I don't know if I'm really answering your question, but I think for reference, I don't think it's a big deal just because it's a different time, you know. And I think this game is catering to people who, like me, who would spend $60 for the campaign and multiplayer. And then I think some people who just want to play multiplayer are probably going to get the battle pass to get some of those really cool armor sets that don't go away. Like the battle passes aren't expiring in Halo, which is really cool. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see what happens. I personally just really hope Halo finds an audience, even if it's not the biggest one. I hope it finds an audience. I hope it stays that way, and 343 thrives from it because they've, for the most part, have fallen back to back with 4 and 5. And even though 5 is a lot of fun, I thought 5 had great multiplayer. They for the most part have stumbled on their face. So I'm really hoping they just get this one right. But whether or not the battle passes are going to change the scenario, I don't really know. I could see them messing it up, but I think at this point they can't afford to. And if they do release something that people don't like, I think it'll be switched before you know it.
Yep, fair enough. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Any closing thoughts?
Yeah. Other than that, I would say next episode, I'm gonna have my hands on Kena Bridge of Spirits for PlayStation 5, which is my like one of my top 3 most anticipated games. So I can't wait. That comes out Tuesday, and then I'm gonna hopefully be able to play some of the Halo Flight next weekend. And then that's probably gonna be something I'm really looking forward to probably for our next episode.
Nice, awesome. And for anybody out there on YouTube space or wherever you're listening to this, um, if you are, again, I mentioned that we're kind of thinking about doing some other things with the show. One thing we're thinking about doing is, again, doing gameplay kind of behind us talking, so you're not just looking at two floating heads the whole time. So if that's not interesting to you, if that's something you think would be really cool, and you'd like to see that, definitely let us know. And if you have a suggestion for a game, then that's also very welcome. So cool. That's it for us, I think. Then for this week, thank you guys everybody for checking out the podcast today. I am Alan, and with me is Dom, and we'll see you guys next time. Nerd out.
Nerd out.